Cool. And here we are. We're live right now. So thank you everybody for coming back to the Bottom of the Ninth podcast. I'm your host, Elijah. And today we have California native, former Michigan softball player, current USSSA, right? You play for the Pride as of now?
Actually, I play with AU now, Athletes
AU now.
Unlimited.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, her name is Sierra Romero. If you have not heard of her, give her a nice warm welcome. We're so happy to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Like I said, we're trying to stay warm out here in Texas. But so you moved to Florida. What took you to Florida? I know that's pretty new. That's pretty or at least fairly new. I'm sure you've known you were going to go there for a while. What took you to Florida?
After I graduated from Michigan, I got drafted by the Pride, and so that was the big push to go to Florida and live in Florida. And then I just feel like I never wanted to leave after that.
Gotcha.
For a little while, I went and I was in Eugene, Oregon when I coached at Oregon for a year, and then quickly came right back to Florida. I loved it. I loved Florida and just everything it has to offer.
Awesome. Yeah, because Florida's beautiful. Florida is very nice, I have to say. It's very much a vacation area.
Yeah, I feel like I try to recruit people all the time.
Yeah, I bet it's probably not too hard to get out there to convince people because you got the beach, you got everything out there. But so let's start talking about your career and how everything kind of transpired. So you're from California. When did you start playing softball? When did that whole thing start happening?
I mean, if you count travel ball, I was playing when I was 4, or not travel ball, T-ball 4.
Yeah.
Travel ball I started when I was 8, but I played travel ball pretty young. 8 years old, I was traveling with my sister and my parents doing that whole scene.
Okay.
But the travel organization that I was with that really helped with the recruiting was the Orange County Blockbusters.
Okay.
So I was with them, and we did the whole tournaments, all the showcases. I did go to camps. So I did all of that stuff during that recruiting process. But that travel ball team is really the one that helped me get to Michigan.
See, I think that's awesome. I know so I played baseball my whole life, and softball is a much different breed. Like they start them and y'all have girls committing in 7th and 6th grade. I'll do some crazy stuff. I used to date a softball player. She played D2 here, and some of the things, because she used to coach as well, over the summers and stuff, and some of the stuff I'd see, especially with the 18 girls who are looking to commit and stuff, they're crazy. Y'all are nuts. Y'all are traveling every single weekend to do things. It's crazy.
And before they passed the new NCAA rule, there was 7th and 8th graders committing to colleges.
Yeah, that's what I used to hear.
Now because of the rule, you can't do that now until your junior year. They can't come after you. So they tried to take some of the pressure off of, I think, the college coaches, but also the athletes, which I think it ultimately helps because, nobody's sitting here feeling like they're behind now because they didn't get a college offer in 7th grade, which is crazy. So
that is crazy. Yeah. Because there was, I coach middle school, and there's girls, especially here at our company, obviously we have some people that work that obviously have girls that play softball, and they're like, yeah, we had this girl who's going to college camps, and they're in 8th grade. I'm like, come on, y'all aren't ready for that. Let them just play, just play the game. But do you think, and I guess when you committed, obviously you can't find that information, but were you an early commit, at that age too, in 7th or 8th grade you were?
Yeah, I committed going into my sophomore year, so technically my freshman year of high school.
Okay.
But I got my first offer in 8th grade.
Okay. See, that's early, but I guess when you're a freshman, we have guys that verbally commit in their freshman years that are just absolute studs. But do you think, and I guess it's kind of going off a little off topic, but do you think did that give you any sort of pressure when you were playing through your high school years that you had to kind of live up to that expectation? Or was it something that it was okay, I'm already committed, I already have somewhere I'm going to play in college, I can just kind of play? Was it one of those? Or
for me, I would probably say it probably made me relax a little bit more knowing I had it already figured out.
Right.
I feel like times have changed too with transfer portal and everything else that there is now. So
totally.
Back then it was once I committed, I knew I wasn't changing my mind. I was not going to entertain another school. Once I decided it was Michigan, that was it. So to me, it took a ton of pressure off because were there schools trying to get me to decommit and go somewhere else? Sure. But I was so set on Michigan, and I knew, big thing with my dad was when you give a school your word, you stick to it.
You stick to it, yeah.
Mind. So it took a lot of pressure off me because once I made that decision, I knew there was nothing else to look at or
Yeah.
to, experience.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I think it just helped me focus on just playing softball and really getting rid of that pressure of getting recruited. I know some people now, it's like with the new recruiting rule, a lot of the younger athletes, they can't wait until,
Till it's time. Yeah.
September 1st of their junior year because they
Mm-hmm.
just want to get it out the way.
Yeah.
And I think that I was very similar. I wanted it done with, and I wanted to make the right decision so then I could just play.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes total sense. And I think that's what, because, you hear about guys doing it all the time, but for girls, like, especially y'all get to get it done and get it out, or used to get it out of the way early, and y'all can play. Like I know, especially for like us and like for a lot of guys, just giving like the opposite side of the spectrum is like, there's dudes that don't get recruited till their junior, senior year of high school to go play college. And it's like, that's like some really serious pressure. They're going to like showcases and they're doing all this stuff. They have scouts coming to watch them. And like, that's a lot of pressure, because if you don't get it like at that moment, like it's like you might not get the chance. So I think that's really good. It's really cool that you guys get that so early. Or hey, I say get it, but y'all used to get that perk of doing it early. And I think it's also like one of the things that boys don't really develop till they're later. So people aren't really looking at them till they get to that point. But anyway, so real quick, so I know did you go visit Michigan before? Like you said, you committed pretty early. Did you go visit? Did you see it? Was there something about Michigan that just drew you? Because you're all the way from California. So
yeah. So they asked me to go to a camp, and after Michigan, I was supposed to also go to Texas and Tennessee immediately after, like the week after or something like that. But I went out there, I visited. I remember it was snowing, it was cold. We did an indoor camp in their big indoor facility, and I just fell in love with it. I mean, the university is beautiful. Ann Arbor is a huge college town. I love football. They have the big house. It's like one of the best football stadiums. So everything about it, from the staff to the athletes to academics and just the whole look of it and the campus, it was weird. A lot of athletes talk about getting that feeling and just knowing when you're there. And I just felt like that was the place I was supposed to be. And I tried, because that was the only place I visited or talked to who didn't offer me prior.
Oh, interesting.
So anywhere else, there was other universities that offered me full rides without me ever even going to the school. And then the other schools, they offered me visits and full rides ahead of time. So it was really like me just seeing if I liked it. Michigan was the only one who did not put an offer on the table. They just asked me to go to a camp.
Gotcha.
And so I don't know if I liked like the chase of it or what it was. I was like, wow,
Maybe.
they're not offering me? What the heck? Like, I don't know what it was, but I know that I had a friend who played on my travel ball team, Nicole Sappingfield, and she was already committed to Michigan. And in travel ball, I really looked up to her. I thought she was just a great person, a great athlete. She did things the right way. And so I'm like, if she likes Michigan, like, I got to check them out. I need to go give them a shot. And, I did my research, and it seemed like a cool place. And I saw the staff, and the staff is legendary. So I took the trip, and I tried to commit right after they offered me, but Hutch wouldn't let me. She made me go home and talk it over with my parents. And really, So, and then after that, it was kind of a done deal. I called her, I think maybe a week or two later, if that, probably a week later. And I told her I wanted to commit. And so I had to call up the other schools and told them I wasn't going on my visits.
There you go. That's crazy. Well, at least, it's funny because a lot of times like colleges, and I'm not going to say a lot of them do that, but they're kind of like, they want your word like immediately without you really. So it's really good that they actually made you wait and go home and talk about it, think it over. Don't make a rash decision immediately, just off the cuff, just because you liked it. That was really, I think that's a professional move of them to let you go and do that. Because there's some
I think I respected that a lot more. I feel like otherwise, like with other schools, I was getting kind of pushed to hurry up and give an answer. And I was like, I don't know. I don't even know if I like you guys. So
that's so true. That's so true. Yeah. That's like, cause I know guys that like, I went the JUCO route. So we knew guys that were going on visits left and right all the time. And that they would be like, hey, we need to know when you walk out this office, it's gone. Like you don't have an offer anymore. And I'm like, that's kind of like, how are you supposed to make a decision within 2 seconds like that? That's a little nuts. But so you commit to Michigan. That's out the way. How was, I guess, obviously this is kind of a dumb question because you performed incredibly well to go out and do all the things that you've done. How would you describe your softball years of play? How did that all go down?
Just at Michigan?
No, no. So before leading up to that, because I know you played high school. So were there people still trying to get at you while you were still playing, even though you were committed? I
Yeah,
mean, I'm sure there were.
there was people trying to get me to leave Michigan when I was
Oh, yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah.
So
Of
I mean,
course.
I feel like it was never ending until I kind of just had to get a little bit like snippy with them, like it's
Hmm.
not happening, like don't be disrespectful kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and so, travel ball, I mean, our travel ball organization that we played on, both, I mean, my sister played on it as well. We
Hmm.
all pretty much did. They have a facility. They have a great training facility. Like I would go there, I'd hit, I'd field, lift. I even got physical therapy done there. Like they
Oh,
had everything
awesome.
for us.
Wow.
So it was a drive, I want to say it was about an hour 15, hour and a half drive, but
Dang.
we would make the drive and we'd work with, Mike Stith a lot, and there'd be times we didn't get home till almost 1 in the morning and go to school the next day because that's what we had to do if we
Yeah.
wanted those
You want?
one-on-one lessons with him and
Hmm.
the more like advanced athletes.
Hmm.
um and so that's what we would do, and then we would train, and I had a hitting coach out there and I had a hitting coach at home closer
Hmm.
for when
Yeah.
I wanted to just get reps in.
Hmm.
But I mean, we did everything that we had to do training wise. I mean, we missed plenty of dances and functions and family events and
Absolutely.
friend
Yeah.
events. So,
Hmm.
and then I feel like that just kind of carried over into college. When I got
Yeah.
to college, I already had that business mindset from travel ball because it was
Yeah.
very similar to how college was, just we were way
Hmm.
busier in college.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So it was like I was kind of already prepped for it and knew what to expect. Now it was just like to another level because
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
add harder academics and you add travel schedules, like crazier travel schedules
Hmm.
and more training. So I felt pretty prepared for that. And I feel like that's why I was able to succeed at that level because to me, like I loved that it was softball 24/7.
Yeah. That grind.
I
Yeah.
loved practicing. I loved doing all that stuff, hitting extra, having access to all the equipment and machines and just everything. You had everything
Hmm.
there. So
Yeah.
it was really cool for me. And you had all the tools. I think that's what ultimately helps. I think that's where it's different as a pro now. We
Hmm.
don't have all the tools. We don't have all the resources, which you would think it would only get better. But for
Right.
softball, it gets kind of not, I don't want to say worse, but it just gets, you don't have the same backing as you did in
Yeah.
college. Because,
Yeah.
season is shorter and it's typically, like my AU season is in Chicago. So I'm not going to fly to Chicago every weekend to
Hmm.
get reps in.
Yeah. Does that
So
make sense?
I got to figure it out here and find someone I can either pay or someone who's allowing me to use their facility.
Yeah, that's crazy. You would think like that doesn't.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that. So you played all that when you got to Michigan and you played your first season at Michigan. And I know like obviously you were playing on a pretty high caliber college, or not college team, travel team before you got there. And I'm sure in California the talent is immense compared to a lot of other places. And it's something I asked just because, especially with people that go from playing high school and playing, travel ball to going and playing, in the Big Ten or like in the SEC, we've had quite a few athletes. Was it a big jump? Was there almost a culture shock in the talent, or was it something that at that point, obviously you may have already been used to like playing people at this caliber?
Um, I mean, definitely like the talent, right? So
Yeah.
I
Right.
got there and there was already an All-American at my spot, like the
Wow.
spot that I wanted.
Yeah.
So, I've had to like fight for my spot and everything when it comes to travel ball, but this
Yeah.
is different. These
Hmm.
are grown women. Like
Yeah.
this is, the person who was there was, I'm pretty sure, a senior when I
Hmm.
there. So, she
Well,
was way more grown than I was.
yeah,
And I'm like
very much so.
scared of her to an extent. And so I
Yeah.
don't want to piss her off or anything. But, there was a spot that I wanted and I didn't know where, but I was like, I want to start. So
Hmm.
if in both spots that I wanted were taken by seniors, so I was like, okay, how's this going to work? And I think like for me, it was really just showing how I could also be a utility player. Like I was willing to go to the outfield,
Yeah.
infield, wherever I needed to go to just start and play, even if it was a new position. And I think that's something that really caught like the coach's eye. And, I remember she would be like, all right, Sierra, go to second. And I would kind of take reps at second, and then I would
Mhm.
somehow manage to creep over to shortstop. And then I would be at shortstop,
Yeah.
taking
Yeah.
reps and just trying to show off my talent. And I really do think though that like the level of play only advanced when I got to college because you're
Hmm.
around really good athletes that were just as determined as you are. Because in
Hmm.
travel, I'm not saying there's less of them, but there's very few people that are at that caliber to play
Yeah.
at that like elite level that have that
Hmm.
mindset. And so when I was there at Michigan, I mean, every single day I felt like I was being tested.
Yeah.
And every single day I wanted to perform. And I'd be mentally drained at the end of the day because physically I was giving everything at practice to try to earn my spot.
Hmm.
And so I really just think that that environment, though, like it makes or breaks you. It's going to show how good you really are or how
Yeah.
much work you need to put in to get to that level. And then it's kind of up to you. Like, are you going to do what it takes? And then that's kind of how people either move forward or they kind of just stay still and they don't really go anywhere. So
Yeah.
I definitely think that that environment for me, like I like that type of
Yeah. Yeah.
environment. Like and it's the same when it comes to like when I work with sponsors. Like I
Hmm.
like the environment where they ask me questions, they want to test me, they want to like push me to get more
Yeah.
information.
Of
I
course.
do better with those kind of sponsors because I'm more invested and I want to help as
Yeah.
opposed to the ones that are like, here's a check, post this, write
Yeah.
this. I'm like, that's
It's
boring.
no fun.
I
Yeah.
don't,
That's
yeah,
no, that's not what like that's not what gets you going, right? That's like,
no.
whatever. So, but so the cool thing about all that, like you said, that environment, you had been, so like I was going to ask about the travel because a lot of times people like the traveling in D1, especially when you're flying and going all over the place. Like I had a buddy of mine who went big D1. He's from a small country town. And he was like, that was probably the biggest adjustment for me. It was just going everywhere. Cause like some of these country kids, like especially down in Texas, like they don't fly, they don't go on a lot of vacations, especially like in East Texas, like very much
Yeah.
homebodies. So the traveling around, like you said, you were driving an hour and a half to that facility all the time. So I'm sure the traveling and coming back and having to wake up, go to school, you've pretty much emulated the student athlete grind since you were like in your youth ages, right? Like you
Yeah.
were used to like going to class, coming home, working out, doing it maybe early mornings, late nights. So you're already used to that. That in itself is normally like that was a shock to me when I went to college. Like I remember like getting home from a road trip on a Sunday at like 4 in the morning. And then
Hmm.
it's like, all right, you got class at 9 a.m. You better be up. You better be there. Like we're gonna do class checks. I'm
Yeah.
like, how are you supposed to do that? So that's that. And I mean, I'm sure you saw a lot of teammates struggle with that. Do you see that as a big make or break moment, especially when season comes? Because the fall's never that bad. It's the spring that really gets you.
Yeah. And I think the travel is still hard for me. The travel for Michigan in general is tough because
Right.
think about like, for example, like every year when this season starts for Michigan in a couple weeks, whenever it
Mm-hmm.
is, um, they're going to be on the road the first
I was about to say
few
that. Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
can't play at home.
Mm-hmm.
So we were always in Florida. We were in Florida, we were in California, and that California trip always sucks because of the time change
Yeah.
and then having to come back and readjust, but only
Yeah.
readjust for 3 days, 4 days, and then
And
you
then you're
leave
gone
again.
again.
So, you're constantly getting used to different time zones. So for me though, the travel was hard only because you had to add academics.
Mm-hmm.
High school
Yeah.
academics were a lot easier for me than college
Oh yeah.
academics.
As it
Like
should be.
yeah, like high
Yeah.
school was like to me, high school was a breeze. Like, yeah, I had to study and all that stuff, but like at Michigan, like Michigan academics were
It's
another
no
level.
joke.
Like
Yeah. It's no joke.
I needed tutoring, I needed extra help, I needed help
Mm-hmm.
planning because I wanted to be an All-American and an elite
Yeah.
athlete. So then I'd spend so much time at the softball field. I needed more time with my studies. So I had to find like that mentor to really help me, coach me through that part. And when you
Yeah.
added travel to that, I was like, man, this is tough.
It's a lot.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot, but I, in a sense, was somewhat used to it. But at the same time, I was not. I
You were.
had to still figure out my own little
Yeah.
routine because it was
Yeah.
different. It was a lot more.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, that's something that I think a lot of people don't look at is like they see, especially going into the recruiting process and like looking at schools and like they see like, oh, big times, university, but they don't really sit back and look, okay, like, yeah, the field's great. I love to play. I love all that. But it's like going into the classroom setting, it's like some students don't really thrive. And I was one of those kids who was like, I just don't thrive in an auditorium with 1,000 other students. And we're all learning the same thing. It's like sometimes you need a little bit more of a change. Do you think that the classroom setting was hard? Because you went to public school, right? Public high school, I'm assuming.
Mhm.
So you're used to already big classes. Like for me, public school kid or private school kid, going to, we had 15, 20 people in a class at one time in high school to when I went to my first D1 school, it was like there's 60 of us in an auditorium, and I was like really thrown back. Did that have any shock to you at all, or was it just the level of academics and how, because Michigan's a great school. I mean, it's known to be a great school. So I didn't know if it was the curriculum that was harder, or was it just the overall experience of college was the hard part?
The classes itself were harder for sure.
Okay.
But I did notice that I did a lot better in the smaller classes as opposed to my classes that had over 100 kids in them. Because at that point, it's on you. I mean, yes, you can go to office hours, but it's really hard to create any type of relationship with your professor when there's 100 kids possibly going in for office hours.
At the same time, yeah.
Right. So whenever I was in a smaller class, like it was more intimate. I could actually go create a relationship, and also being a student athlete, like I could give them the heads up, like, hey, I'm going to be gone for a week. How do we work on this? Whereas a professor who has 100 other kids to worry about, they're kind of like, you got to figure it out and make a friend in class who's going to give you notes. And I'm like,
wow, thank you.
I don't know anybody in this class, so
seriously.
I don't know what to do. That's I mean, it's not like they didn't work with you. They did, but you didn't want to, you didn't want to make the professor mad. It was already a hard class, and you felt bad because you had to miss for travel, but there was nothing you could do. Yeah. So, I definitely noticed I did better though in smaller classes. Yeah.
So breaking away from academics, getting into your place. So your first year, where did you, so your first fall and going into the season, I know you said you tried to make yourself as expendable as possible. You were trying to get in as many positions just to show that you were that utility player, you were a team player, which is a huge deal, especially for any freshman going into a school that may have a position that they're super comfortable at, but it's already taken by someone who's already put in the time to be there. What would you say, or where did you start actually? Because you said short was taken. You said you were taking some reps at second base and you'd make your way over. Where did you end up starting that your freshman year?
Shortstop. So
you won the spot. There you go.
So I started at shortstop, and I ended up actually transitioning to second base the second half of my sophomore year. Okay. I had an arm injury, so coming to find out like later on, like it hurt, but like I didn't really want to get it checked out. But it was a torn labrum and I didn't know. Dang. And so I was just doing a lot of PT. I was still able to play and do everything. So I just thought I was fine. So I just did a lot of physical therapy on it. And I found out after the fact because like way later I went and got the scan, and it was like, you could see all the cartilage buildup. So it was like, that's what was helping me was all the cartilage buildup.
Scar tissue. Yeah.
Yeah. So, my big thing though was I'll never forget this because I know we were playing Alabama. So my sophomore year, I was at shortstop. Abby Ramirez was at second base, and I was struggling my sophomore year. And I wasn't struggling fielding; I was struggling throwing. Oh. So I had a ton of errors, and they were all on throws. All throws. Because I was trying to throw harder and further,
and you just couldn't get it there.
I couldn't feel my arm. So I would be throwing sometimes, and I couldn't feel like really where I was trying to throw to. I knew the general area, but it wouldn't go where I wanted it.
Holy crap.
And so we were playing Alabama, and Alabama was really highly ranked. Oh, and I was like, we want to win this game. I remember we were at Alabama, and I remember telling Hutch, like, can I go to second base and Abby go to shortstop? And she was like, what? And I was like, I don't want to be the reason we lose today. Like, wow. I know I can make the throw from second. I don't trust my arm right now at shortstop. She's like, well, you guys haven't been practicing there. I was like, I can play second.
We'll make it work.
Abby's, Abby's elite. She can play short. Like, I know she's going to be fine. So I remember talking to Abby, and I'm like, if we do this, like, are you comfortable? And she was like, yeah, like I used to play shortstop all the time. So I was like, absolutely.
Perfect. Perfect.
So like, let's do this. And then we won that game. And it was awesome. Abby had amazing plays at shortstop. Like, she killed it. And then I remember looking at Hutch, and I was like, let's keep it.
Let's just keep this the way it goes.
Let's just not change it. Like, this is great. Yeah. Like, Abby's killing it. Like, I don't mind second base. Like, let's just switch it. So we switched it. And then from then on, I was a second baseman at Michigan.
Awesome. That's major respect to you for taking that initiative, because there's some people that, like, especially like at big schools, there's a lot of big personalities that would be like, this is my spot, I'm not letting anyone take it. But the fact that you were able to make that sacrifice for the team is like, that's huge. I think a lot of people need to hear that story, because that's big. Because there's some people that will, Yeah, but like that's the core goal, right? Of any team is like let's do it all together. Like let's make it all work. Because if you have one weak link, it could take it all down in one go. But that's funny that you say that. You know, like, the amount of people that I've, like myself included, that'll play through injury to like their detriment. Like that's insane. You couldn't feel your arm and you were still playing. That is nuts. That is insane. Because we're talking,
Yeah, I had a lot of arm issues. They tested me for like, I think it was called thoracic outlet. So like if your
Oh
arm
yeah,
is
yeah.
above, like
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
when they did the test, my what was it, like the heart rate or whatever, it did go down a little bit once my arm was above my head. So that's where the
That's
numbness was
interesting.
coming from.
Okay.
But usually there's like a surgery for it. But they told me that the type that I had, I didn't need surgery because it wasn't the type that was stopping blood to the heart. It
Mm.
was stopping blood to like my hand and my
To
arm.
your extremities,
So
yeah.
yeah, so if it was stopping the blood to my heart, that's more dangerous. They want to
Yeah.
make sure that's not
Yeah.
happening, obviously.
Yeah.
But they did the test on me and they said that that wasn't the case, so I didn't need surgery. Um, and I didn't want to do labrum surgery because I was
Yeah,
like,
no,
it doesn't
that's
hurt that bad. Like I'm good.
no. Yeah, well, that's like, so labrum is scary. Like, was it a slap tear or was it like, when obviously it's hard because I know you said you didn't get it the check till like way later
It
down the
was,
line.
I believe it was a slap tear, and then I also had a little bit of a tear in my rotator cuff.
So your shoulder is beat up pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
jeez. That's insane. But you played through it and you made it work.
I did.
So it's funny that you say that you struggled, because it's hard to think that you struggled your first and second year, because your first year was 13, right? Or was it, yeah, 2013?
Yes.
So you were actually, so
Yes.
you were a Big Ten player of the year, 13 and 14. So you say
Mhm.
you struggled. I'm kind of like, did you really? Did you
I
really?
was I was actually Big Ten Player of the Year 3 years. There's only one
Yeah,
year I
you were.
didn't get it.
Yeah, so you were 13, 14, and 16. Yeah,
16. Okay.
yeah,
I don't remember what year it was. I didn't get it.
yeah. You were
I know I
13,
lost it
14.
to Sarah Grunewagen though.
And where was she at? Was she at Michigan too? No, she was somewhere
She
else.
was in Minnesota.
Minnesota. Ooh. Was
Pitcher.
she also short? Oh, she was pitcher. Okay. All right. That makes sense. So 13 and 14, you had you had awesome years. Do you think what was kind of the attribute to that? Were you hitting the ball well? Were you just, it's like, because there's always those seasons where people were like the ball, and obviously I use a lot of baseball references. So it's like, oh, the ball looked like a beach ball and I was just smashing. Softballs are a lot bigger, but I guess the same analogy can be used. Were you just like seeing the ball perfectly well? Everything was just flowing right. How would you describe those two seasons? Because obviously to get, player of the year in a conference is it's a big accomplishment. In the Big Ten, it's an even bigger accomplishment with how immense the talent is in that conference. So what would you describe was that season? What really worked for you? Was it the teammates? Was it just everything involved in one? How did that go?
Um, it was everything. I mean, my freshman year, I felt like my freshman year was easy. Like I don't feel pressure very often.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I don't get anxious or whatever, but like I really enjoy pressure.
Hmm.
Like I love proving somebody wrong. I love, having all eyes on me and somebody
Yeah.
expecting me to perform, even if I don't. Like I
Yeah.
like that,
The thrill. Yeah.
adrenaline rush
Yeah.
of it. And my freshman year, I'm like, there's no expectation. Like
Hmm.
if anything, they expect me to not play well because I'm a
Right.
freshman.
Yeah. So
Like
just
so I
go out
have
there
wiggle
and
room.
yeah.
So and nobody knew me. Like I mean, I was a top ranked like at a high school athlete, but
Hmm.
nobody knew me. Nobody knew what I was going to do. So I was like, whatever, I'm just going to play.
Hmm.
Played really well. My teammates were awesome. My coaching staff was awesome. I felt very prepared physically, mentally, everything.
Yeah.
The hardest year I thought would be my sophomore year,
And
just
why is
because
that?
everybody now had video on me.
So
So
they knew how to pitch you. They knew where to. Yeah.
right,
Hmm.
they were gonna study. They were gonna have film on me. And
Hmm.
so in my off season, I made sure to work on all the things I struggled on. So I made sure that everything that was hard or tough for me to do, it went from a weakness to a strength.
Yeah.
And so at the same time, I still worked on my strengths and tried to make those even stronger. So then my sophomore year ended up being really good too. And I was like, I think I got like a system going. Like I think I
Yeah.
understand this. And I want to say my junior year, if I remember correctly, I really didn't know what to work on. Like
Hmm.
hitting did feel like everything was coming in at a beach
Yeah.
ball. There was a lot of times where I could tell and read what people were going to throw to me.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I'd be like, okay, a changeup is coming right now. Like,
Hmm.
I feel like that's why I had, so many grand slams and I have the grand slam record was
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
in those moments, I'm like, what do they think they're going to be able to get me out on?
Hmm.
And I was usually right. with what I thought was coming.
Right.
And so, I think me just being able to read pitchers, but also read how coaches were throwing to me, because they were typically the ones calling the pitches.
Right.
I was able to figure out their rhythm and their system with what they were doing when I was up to hit by watching how they were throwing to other athletes, but also how they throw them to me every year. Because at some point they're not going to know how to throw to me. So they're going to go back to what they always do. And so I feel like I knew those sequences pretty well. And so, I think like the big thing for me was the year that Hutch told me we do like end of the year meetings every year. And the big thing the big thing she would always tell me was like, I don't need you to get any better. I just need you to become a better leader. And I was like, okay, so like, how do I do that? What do I do?
That's
like,
new, right? It's new to you.
Right.
Yeah.
And so she was like, I always see you in here working extra, but you're always by yourself. Like start bringing people in, like try coaching people up. And I was like, coaching people up? Like, and it wasn't that I didn't want to do that. I think I just was nervous too, because I didn't want anyone to think that like I was saying that they weren't good enough.
Right,
like here I am trying to coach and I'm not a coach.
Right.
And so I just really didn't want to step on anyone's toes. And so I tried that. It was great. More and more girls started to hit with me and work with me. And that year, I remember like my biggest thing that Hutch would always test me on was my leadership. And then she would also challenge me to hit balls. So nothing in the strike zone. I would have to hit everything out the strike zone.
So I have to hear, okay, that's different. I've never heard that before. What was the reasoning behind that?
I was getting walked almost every at bat.
Now that makes more sense.
So we were trying to figure out a lineup that could protect me, but also give us opportunity at the same time. And so if I did get walked, they were going to be met with usually if the person after me was either, who was it? Caitlin or Katie Krishner. It was always one of them too, I believe, because she graduated and then Katie took over in that spot. Okay. So it was always one of them, and they were both power hitters. So if you didn't pitch to me, you got them, and now I'm on base. And usually in the one hole was CeeLo. Sierra Lawrence was usually in the one hole. Super fast. She'd get on, she'd steal. Then I'd have a runner in scoring position, and then I would try to hit them in. Or I'd get walked, and the person behind me would do it. So she would always have me work on hitting pitches out of the zone, like to the point where she'd be throwing me front toss. And if it was like down the middle, like, yes, I could swing sometimes, but there was other times where she would purposely throw the ball poorly to see if I could hit it.
To see if you could hit it.
And I would basically test myself. How far can I chase and get a hit? How far can I chase side to side and up and down? Right. And so I knew my limit on this is too high and this is too low, this is too in and this is too out. And so when I would practice that in a game, like there's some pitches that you would watch me hit and the pitcher and the coach would be like,
they'd be like, I don't know. Yeah.
That was a ball. Like she shouldn't have hit that. So it's the same, like my favorite one to look at that my dad always shows me is the home run or the grand slam to break the NCAA record. It was almost in the dirt. It was a changeup. It was a changeup like below my knees. And I just went down and I hit it over the center field fence.
Wow.
And so it was just like, I was so used to doing that all the time that when I
became
saw
normal.
that pitch, my first instinct wasn't to let that go. It was like, I can hit this. And so I went for it. And so I think that year took me to even another level because now coaches, if they really wanted to pitch around me, it had to be far. Yeah. I remember I would get walked and there'd be some pitches close and I'd almost be getting ready to go. And the coach is like, girls, further away. Because I was looking to walk.
Yeah. You're looking to hit it by any means. Obviously, with your training, it's by any means necessary. You're gonna hit. That's crazy. I feel like, but was there I know you said you were testing your limits out in up down. Was there? It's funny because there's got to be a fine line of where okay, I can still do something with this pitch. I can still do something outside. I can maybe slap it the other way. I could really turn on something. Was there a fine line of where okay, this is maybe too far? What was the drawing line of was it the barrel can't reach that far? Was it I really can't muscle anything out of that pitch? Was it too high? I'm going to pop it straight up. Too low? I have to pop it up or go straight into the ground. What was the line for that?
Where can I be the most consistent? So there was, I really think I can hit just about anything, but it was where am I consistently on time? Because if I'm chasing a pitch really far away, like I'm going to have to let that pitch get deeper and I'm going to have to be in sync and more on time
Right.
for a ball outside than I would for a strike on the outside half. So if I can at least consistently get there and be on time to hit it well, then I know that I can hit that pitch. If I can't go further than wherever that line is, then at that point, maybe it's all arms, butts out because I can't reach. I know that's not my pitch.
Yeah.
I could probably hit it and put it in
You can make
play,
contact,
but I'm not going to hit it well. I'm going to get myself out. And so
Okay.
I had to find, and so for me, it was all about timing. Can I still be on time and in sync for this ball, even though it's not a strike? And I would basically push myself to try to hit further away, in, up, and down. And then I would just find my limit there. And then when we did live off of our pictures, I would test it out there too. And sometimes that was frustrating because they'd get me out and I'm like, ooh, you didn't get me out. I was testing something. Like I wasn't.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah,
and I'd get so I'd get so mad. I would get so mad because I'd hate getting out off our pictures. And because we love to challenge each other.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, dang, I was trying to see how far I could go. But it was always fun.
It's one of those deals. So, okay. So I know you brought up the home run, the Grand Slam record. How did you know when you hit it that you broke the record? Were you in tune with those stats, or was that something you kind of just like, I'm not worried about it, I'm just going to play my game? Because I know that sometimes that does affect, like, especially like any big leaguers that are going for these records. Like you see, like this past year was Judge, and he went through like a cold streak right before he hit that number 62. Was it one of those things where it's like, I want nothing to know about the stats, and they were kind of just updating it on its own in the corner over there? Or was it something that you were mindful of while you were playing?
I never knew my stats.
Okay, good. Okay.
My parents, my dad would always try to send them to me. And there would be times where he would screenshot it and send it and be like, oh my God, you're hitting this. You have this many home runs or whatever. And I'd be like, Dad, stop sending that to me. I don't want to see it. And at Michigan, they actually used to, I remember they would print off like after our first week or two, like letting us know what our stats were. I never looked at it. They would like print it off and give it to us, and I would immediately trash it. Like I didn't want to see it. I don't care. If I feel like I'm playing well and my swing feels good, that's the only thing that matters. I could be hitting 200, and if my swing feels good, I'm sticking with it because something is going to come out of it. Like even if I'm not playing well. So I feel like I just bet on myself a lot. Just because I feel like if you know what you're capable of and you test yourself in a lot of different ways, like you can get there again. But the second you start to throw in numbers and records, like I'm pretty sure I knew the Grand Slam record was a thing only because after watching back games, commentators would talk about it.
They'd say it,
yeah. But since I didn't pay attention to my stats, like I would forget how many home runs I had. Like I you know what I mean? It wasn't like I knew. Like I knew it was up there, but I'd be like, I don't even know what I'm at right now. Like so I could be breaking it soon, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's probably the best route to go. Because I mean, the minute you start analyzing it, and the minute you're like, oh, I'm like one away, then you start trying for it. You start really, forcing things that shouldn't be forced, and especially at bats. I think was probably your best route to go. But I think that's also probably what made you play better, was that you weren't focused on the numbers, you weren't focused on, fielding attempts, you weren't focused on batting average. You were just playing to your best of your ability to perform, to win, right? And I think that's what's most important. I think when numbers get thrown in there, when records and all that stuff, records and breaking records it's a phenomenal feat, but I think that kind of takes away from the play and the talent of 100%. It just gets in your head. So you play your first years. So in 2015, I know you say you lost it to the girl from Michigan. Was that year any different, or did she just had it? That was just her year, or was it like, did you kind of have maybe an off year? Because 4 years in college, people go through. I mean, everyone goes through ups and downs. It's you're growing as a person, as a human, as an individual. You're going through life changes. You're growing up. You're playing softball. Was it kind of one of those things where it was like a down year? It just you didn't have the same, I don't know this, because obviously you performed well all 4 years. There's no question. Was it just maybe a down year from those other years, or what happened that year?
No, I played really well that year.
Yeah,
I probably hit like almost 500. Like I did really well. So, there was nothing more I could do. It was one of those things where she was a pitcher and a hitter. And
so she went both ways.
So, her hitting was good. It wasn't better than mine, but I don't pitch. So,
but because she had that extra thing.
Yeah. And that year our Michigan's pitcher won pitcher of the year.
There you go.
It was between her and I for player, and she got player. So
you didn't never thinking about pitching though. You didn't think about it. Well, if she pitches and she's going to win, can I do it?
I was like,
did you pitch ever in your life? I mean, obviously I think you
like
probably did when you were
8.
younger. Yeah. When you were
Yeah,
younger.
like
Yeah.
when I was little.
Just not your
But
thing.
not at all.
Not at all. Oh well. But yeah, I was like, well, maybe if you thought about it, you could throw yourself in there and just see what you could get. But
Man,
y'all
it was
softball
tough because it was
pitching.
like I wanted it, but then I was like, I mean, I don't pitch, so if they're counting the fact
Yeah,
that she
no.
pitches, like, I mean, she did really good pitching that year.
Yeah.
It was between her and our pitcher, Michigan and Minnesota, and I
Yeah.
mean, since our pitcher won it, then it was like, okay, well then it'll be between her and Sierra for the player of the year, and I was like, well, I do, defense and pitching, so.
Yeah, you do what you
Not
do.
pitching,
I mean,
defense and hitting.
yeah, that's your specialty. I think that's, that was the whole thing. I always talk about baseball, but it's like you see the same thing with Ohtani. That guy throws and hits and pays first to ever do it. He's legendary, but that's people are like, oh, he shouldn't get MVP because it's not fair to everybody else. Blah blah blah. So I can see the frustration in you for that specific thing. That's kind of crappy. I think it's like, well, but who actually played better? Who actually had the better play? Probably you. But I don't know. I guess we'll never know. Yeah. So as you get into your junior and senior year, and this is something that's really new, we've only had one other softball player, the second softball player on our podcast. So that's really cool. Pro ball. Let's talk about pro ball. How is that, was that always like, as you grow up, obviously everyone's like, I wish I want to play pro baseball, softball, football. That's like the goal for a lot of athletes. Was that your goal moving forward? Like from a young age, like I'm going to play pro softball, or was it like?
No. Growing up, that was never a thing. So like that's where it's a little bit different for boys and girls. Like guys playing high school and T-ball, they're all like, I want to get drafted out of high school. I want to, go first round, multi-million dollar contract. That's not in the cards for us.
Yeah.
So you have to think, for us, we have to think, I want to get my college paid for.
Yes.
I want to get a degree. So we have to think more academically and experience than professional. Yeah. Playing professional softball was never a thought in my head until I got to college, because that's when they approached me. But to me, I'm also a very realistic businesswoman, and my dad really pushes that on me. So I'm like, well, why would I play pro softball if I could get a normal job and make more money? And so, and I'm all about supporting myself and everything else. Like I didn't want to rely on my parents.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Of course.
For me, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if I was going to play pro or if I was going to just try to find a job afterwards. Like I didn't know what my thing would be, but that's where the big difference is. I definitely wanted to play like on the national team. That was always like the dream. I think when you're little, your thought is I want to play on Team USA. Like I want to play on a national team, go to Olympics or something like that. But even softball is not always in the Olympics. It's in and out. It's always, you never know if it's going to be in or out. So you're constantly waiting on that. But in college, I was told that there was a couple, pro leagues or teams that were interested in me. And at the time, I want to say there was like 5 or 6 teams in the pro league at that time. That's not the case anymore. But, I knew that once I graduated, I wanted to hear them out and see who could offer me and what that looked like. And then, I figured, what, for this amount, like I'd be willing to do it for a year or 2 and try it out and see what it's like. And just so I could play softball a little bit longer. And then I ended up doing it and then have been playing ever since. So just with different teams. But it's a different thought process. Cause my brother just went first round.
I know. I was going to bring him up later. Yeah. That's
so
insane.
It's like, I get to see the difference in realities when it comes, you know what I mean? Like I've been playing pro softball forever and he made more money than me just in him signing an autograph than I will ever. So it's tough.
I have major beef with that. I have major beef with it, to be honest with you.
It's rough. It's tough.
It's not cool.
And he's 18. So I'm like,
yeah, I know, right?
I'm 28.
Well, it's funny because I was looking you up and I was like, because I like to make sure I have like at least your stats and to see exactly what you've done. That's why I was like, you have so many accolades and awards. I'm just like, oh my God, I can't even get through all these. But I was just like looking and I was like, your sister played D1 as well. Your sister, I actually messaged her to have her on. She hasn't gotten back to me, so you should get on her for that. And then I saw your brother got drafted and I looked at film on your brother. Your brother is a stud. Oh my gosh. He is really good. That's why I was like, first round, very much deserved, very much. That makes plenty of sense. He's good. So actually, we talk about pro softball, I am a huge advocate. I watch the Women's World Series every year, college, because it's so fast paced and it's so entertaining to watch. I think this past year y'all broke some records. I think that y'all were like one of the most watched ESPN events like that, or like in the last couple of years. And that's like, if like, and that's what I just, and like, I guess this may be like way off topic. I don't know, but like, how can that be? How can you sit here and like see that there's so much attention? The Women's College World Series draws so many people. Like you look at the stands because it's in OU. It's at OU every year, isn't it? In Oklahoma.
It's in Oklahoma. It's not at
It's in
OU, but
Oklahoma. It's not OU. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm kind of like, if so many people are coming, like the stand, you see the stands are packed. It's screaming loud. Like there's people a standing room behind the stands. Like it's such a massive event, and you're kind of like, yo, if there's so much buzz and so much excitement over this like week long affair, why would you not put more effort and stuff into pro softball? Because it's the same thing. Like these are the best of the like, and that's like I forgot who I was talking to, man. Like last year when the College World Series was happening, it was like this is basically like pro softball. This is like the biggest event for some of these girls. Like this is the World Series of like everything for them. Do you think that's to be true?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I feel like you kind of like hit the nail on the head. Like at the end of the day, it comes down to effort. It comes down to people needing to put their egos aside. It comes down to like the people with money needing to put their egos aside.
Yeah.
And people being fully committed. You cannot keep on using professional softball players the way that you do. Sponsors do it. The leagues do it. Some do it more than others. At some point, something's got to give. And what's going to end up happening is you have athletes that will just leave. You know, they get tired of it. They're like, this isn't going to change while I'm around, so I'm just going to dip. I'm done dealing with it.
Man. Yeah.
And so there's so many athletes that retire early because they're like, this isn't enough money. And I don't
Well, yeah, I can see
correctly.
it. Yeah. Yeah. I can
Like
see that from
if you're not getting paid and you're getting treated like crap, why do you do it?
Oh man, it's
At some
frustrating.
point, the love of the game isn't enough.
It's not
You
enough.
can't
Yeah.
you can't just love it and be treated a certain way. So,
No.
and I think that, it's tough because especially for pro now, like with NIL in colleges, like, a lot of sponsors are going to go for the college girls because they can. And I wish I was in college when
all this was
going on.
happening.
I would have
Yeah.
made some money.
Dude, seriously.
But,
yeah.
I wasn't, and that's just the reality of it. So now I have to try to change pro softball and make sure that they're treated better. They're paid and compensated for their work. And it's just that right now, I know that college softball is seen as like the highest point, and that's got to change because that's not the case for baseball.
It's not the case. No.
Like not even close, but it's going to take somebody really investing and doing things the right way. It's one thing if you like, there's people that invest money, but they don't do things the right way. So that's why softball just keeps going in a circle.
Just
like,
the endless cycle.
changing. Yeah. You might be investing, $500,000, $1 million, whatever it is you're investing, like, and that's your cap, which is insane, right? For a professional sport.
Yeah.
Like, what do the player salaries look like then? Little to nothing.
Dude, you got, that's like that's a drop in the bucket. So what they pay some baseball players,
exactly.
like it's stupid. Yeah.
That's like the base for if a guy makes it to the MLB, it's like 500,000.
Yeah,
so
dude, that's insane.
It's like, that's our cap. So it's just like, I think that the big thing is getting the right people investing and doing things the right way. And, the people who've gotten the closest to doing it is, as of right now, is Athletes Unlimited. Do I think that there's room to grow and to change and fix stuff? Like, absolutely. But as far as like the visibility, and the treatment of athletes, like this is as close to as being at Michigan that I have felt since being a pro. And that's something that I just appreciate a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes softball fun again, and it makes playing something that you want to do every single day.
It's exciting. Yeah,
exactly. Like you don't want an athlete to hate going out to the field every day because of how they're being treated or what they have to deal with on the side. Like their job is to go and, work their body out to whatever level they can, get the most out of them, and have them do that every single day. And it's a lot harder to do that mentally and physically if you don't like the environment that you're in.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't think you could have put that any better, because it's like, if you're dealing with all kinds of crap on the outside, you're not, I'm not saying you specifically, but I'm sure there are girls who are struggling financially to play. I mean, you see that with minor league guys all the time. That's a whole nother thing. But for you guys, especially like you guys are seen as the top of the top. There's no minor leagues. Like you are the top professional softball, and you have girls that are probably dealing with financial situations that have to still make things work on the side while still being asked to perform at your highest level. It's like, you're not going to get the best out of these athletes. It's just not going to happen. And
Yeah.
Like if you want to be touted as a professional organization, you need to treat the players right. You need to make sure that they're taken care of, that they're recovering right, that they have what they need to truly succeed. And like, I mean, it's a show. Put on the best show you can possibly give to the sport itself. And it's just not going to happen with how they're running, I don't think.
It's
But
just all the money goes towards college, which I
mm-hmm.
get, right? You have the
Yeah.
backing of the university, you have the pockets of the university. ESPN
Yep.
is going to want to push
Mm-hmm.
whatever school. So it's like, I get that. It's just, how do we get that to come over to the professional side?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know when that'll happen. I really do think it'll happen one day. It's not going to be when I'm playing.
No. Yeah.
You know, so that's unfortunate, but like, as long as I'm part of that process to getting there,
Yeah.
I think that that's important. Even if I'm not reaping all the benefits of it, like I want to be a part of it being done right, because I've seen so many different sides of pro softball.
Yeah.
Like I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, and
Yeah.
like and the same thing with sponsors. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've had sponsors that have been good and bad, and so it's just like there's a lot into it that like we do extra that
Mm-hmm.
you know, baseball players don't have to. They just have to play. We
Yeah,
have
they
to
just show
play.
up. Mm-hmm.
We have to look good. We have to be somewhat of a lady. Like there's a little bit more that like
Yeah,
goes into it.
It's not the same. I think that's crap, to be honest with you. I don't agree with that, but anyway, yeah, y'all are held to much different standards than guys are. It's just, but that's a whole other whole other discussion.
Podcast.
Yeah, that's a whole other discussion. But so we'll kind of break away from that. And I know that in 15 you played for Team USA, right? Was it in 15 in Toronto? How?
I played them a few times. That one was the one when we went to
Yeah,
that was when we were in Toronto for
Toronto. Yeah, was that your first time?
No, I think that was my second. That might have been my first time with the women's team.
Got you.
I believe that, because I was on the junior USA team as well.
Yeah, when you were still at Michigan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it before that? Yeah,
like freshman year, I think it was junior, and then later on it was women's.
How was that representing the U.S.? How was that? Was that I'm sure that like just being able to be like, I'm on the Team USA, like that's insane. How did that feel?
It was awesome. It was really cool. I mean, I got to play with a bunch of other athletes from different universities that were, just as good. And we got to travel, play against international teams, like got to see how other countries do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, Japan was always super cool to watch. Like they're just insane, like how elite they are, and they move as one and everything. And so, I've got to travel a lot. I got to go to Japan and just kind of go all over the place. Softball's taken me everywhere. So it's been really cool to be able to use a sport to explore and travel. But
see
playing
the world.
for Team USA was awesome. I actually also got to play for Team Mexico with my sister.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah, when was that? That was this past Olympics.
Wow.
I didn't go to the Olympics, but I was coming off of my knee injury, so I wasn't quite there yet.
Yeah.
I was trying to play, but it wasn't really going my way.
Happening. So I know I saw that you were injured. And it was ACL, right? You tore your ACL?
ACL, medial, and lateral meniscus.
Oh, damn, you had a full blowout. Crap. Mm-hmm. How did that, because I know I saw that you were hurt. What happened?
I was running into home, and you create your area when you're about to slide. And then as I was like getting closer to slide, the catcher obstructed home, and I should have just lowered a shoulder.
Yeah, you should have.
And I didn't. I should have just lowered a shoulder and let that be the collision.
And but
instead I tried to go around her. And when I did it that last minute, my knee gave out.
Because if you would have lowered, you probably would have been thrown out the game, and that would have been a whole. Is that y'all aren't allowed to take out?
It wasn't even that I was worried about that. I mean, I don't. If at this point, if you obstruct, I'm not. I'm choosing my knee over you.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah, no.
In that moment, though, I was, it was dumb too, because it was a scrimmage, but my competitiveness was coming out, and I wanted to be safe. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I'm going to do a slide by. I'm going to try to get around her. And it was just last minute. Again, I should have just taken her out or bumped into her or tried to stop, I guess. But I was
just giving up.
Speed.
Yeah.
So
that's and that's the hardest thing is like when you're, especially like the play at home is like, that's a big, you see people get hurt all the time on slides at home or trying to figure out, because you have like, it's not till you get like within like a certain distance where you're like, okay, in your head, you're sitting here watching it. It's like, okay, I have like 3 split-second options I can make here. I can go through, you have like, you're playing them in your head as you're taking that step. And I'm sure that was extremely hard to even fathom. Like, should I just you don't want to give yourself up because you don't want to look like you gave up. You don't want to go into somebody because of the repercussions that happens afterwards, or you causing bodily harm or injury to the catcher itself, because that can always be bad. Or it's like, or your case, I'm going to try my best to do this, and then you end up hurting yourself. That sucks. And what was the recovery like? Was there surgery involved? I'm sure there was, to repair the ACL and the other pieces. And
I actually had 3 procedures.
Oh, 3.
Mine didn't heal up correctly. I had the ACL and then the medial and lateral meniscus surgery all in one. And then I started recovery, started PT, most painful thing I've ever been through.
Can imagine.
I thought I was a big baby, but then I felt better because I was getting to the point where I was crying every day, at physical therapy when they were bending my knee and stuff, and it hurt so bad. And I was like, dang, I'm a wimp. And then some football player came in with the same injury and he was crying. So I was like, okay, I feel
you're not the
now.
only one. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
I was like, maybe I'm not, but it didn't heal correctly. I got a bunch of scar tissue buildup in my knee, which is very rare. It's called arthrofibrosis, and it's just the way my body heals. It didn't heal correctly.
Yeah.
And I'd never had a serious injury like that. Obviously I had my shoulder, which also builds a lot of cartilage, but it was different. So I remember I was like, man, something's wrong with my knee. It doesn't feel right. And, even my surgeon was like, no, everything is fine. It looks good. It looks strong. Just keep pushing through it. And I'm like, I don't think you understand. I would be at physical therapy every day for 3 hours and just to get my legs straight, because I was walking and my knee was constantly bent. So my walking was not correct. I was walking on my tippy toe on my left side and walking normal on my right. So once I actually recovered, I had to not relearn how to walk, but walk heel toe.
Right. Yeah.
Because
you have to retrain your mind.
That. Yeah. And so finally I remember I was, luckily my surgeon gave me his number. So I was texting him and I was like, I want to scan. I need an MRI. I don't care. I will pay for it. I need it because this is either mental and I need to see that nothing is wrong with me or there's something wrong. Yeah. So I went and got the MRI and something did come back and they were like, we need to, go in again. Yeah. And so they were like, we can do a couple of things. We can go in your knee or we can put you under and do a manipulation. So never look up things before you go in for procedures.
Because I'm sure that scared you. Yeah.
Before I went and got it done. And they basically put you out. The doctor's literally all on the bed, getting your knee, slamming it down and breaking through things, breaking through the cartilage. And I was like, this is what they're going to do to me. And so he didn't want to go in and scope it because he was afraid my knee would just build it back up again. Yeah. So he was like, we need to break it. Not my knee, but break the cartilage.
Yeah, you're going to have to break it up.
They knocked me out, did that procedure. I felt really good after. I was like, wow, I have so much more range of motion. I'm good. And then not even a couple months later, I was out fielding and hitting and I still felt restricted. And I was like, I'm not running full speed and I'm still in pain. And finally for me, the last call was, I'll never forget. I was sitting in my house watching a movie and my knee was hurting so bad. And I was like, what the heck? Maybe it's just sore from all the training and stuff I've been doing. And, I went back and I had it's called a cyclops lesion. So my kneecap is right here and there was stuff all around it. So that's why I couldn't ever extend. Yeah. It was being blocked.
Being held up. Yeah.
So they had to go in and just scope and clean that out. So that was another procedure I had to do, another recovery. And then the atrophy I had in my left leg, I still deal with the atrophy now. It's really hard for me to build muscle in my legs. I build it easy from the waist up. Yeah. I can build muscle like that. For me, the waist down, it's super hard for me to build muscle. It always has been.
That's strange.
And so that atrophy was bad. And it took a while because I did the quad tendon for my recovery. Yeah. And so it was very sensitive right there. Anytime I would squat, do any drills on my knees. So sometimes it was partially mental because you would be like, oh, it hurts.
It hurts so bad that you don't want to feel it again. So you restrict
you just don't want
to. Yeah. You don't want to do it.
You almost lean to your right more. So you're trying to help it. And I'm like, well, that's not good.
No, because that's going to create a whole other slew of problems I mean, that's what they say. Normally when something hurts, it's not that actual thing that hurts. There's something else happening. So that makes,
I will say though, ACL is definitely mental. A big part of it is
yeah,
mental.
I bet.
Even though I did have things wrong with me, like it's mentally a lot.
Dang. Does that still, to this day, do you still have issues with it, or is it fully healed? Are there days that maybe like it still acts up a little bit on you, or is it pretty much good now?
Well, I already have arthritis in my knee, so
Well, dang.
that's fun. I mean, that was kind of expected. I was hoping I would get a little bit more time before that developed, but the arthritis is there. It's really me just learning how to manage it, which
to deal with it.
I have, there's certain supplements I take to help. There's certain stretching I do. There's certain exercises I do to try to take away some of that pain. And I'll just have to do those forever. I mean, the surgeon said the same thing. If you want your knee to not hurt, you can never stop moving. So
use it or lose it.
You need to bike. You need to always be doing it, even after I retire. Like I need to stay active just to prevent it from hurting. The good news is I live somewhere hot. So if I was somewhere cold, whenever I'm in the cold, my knee hurts all the time.
Oh, I bet. That's why Florida is a perfect fit for you.
Exactly.
The perfect fit.
That's why I'm not leaving.
There you go. Yeah. So kind of going into I know you have 1 year of coaching at Oregon. Now, I know was that in between your playing years?
I was still playing, but it was in between contracts.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I didn't, it was the end of one of my contracts and I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if they were going to re-sign me. I didn't know if they would re-sign me, if they were going to keep my contract the same, go lower. Because I also knew that I wasn't willing to go lower. Like anything lower than what I was making wasn't worth playing.
Yeah, so you're setting up something in the future, basically.
Yeah, I was setting myself up for something else. I wanted to try it out because, I always thought I wanted to coach, but I wasn't sure. So I wanted to give it a shot. And I had got a call from Melissa Lombardi, and she's a legend, and she was making the move to Oregon. And I was like, why not?
Sure, yeah. Oregon, the university is awesome. I mean, I saw it. I went a couple of years ago. Oh, yeah. I love Oregon. I've been to Portland. I've been to a couple other places around, and it's beautiful. It's awesome. So
it was so fun.
How was that coaching experience?
It was fun. We had a rough year that year. There was a lot of stuff that happened and went on, but like I loved it. I loved the coaching staff. I really liked enjoying like getting to know the girls, the different personalities. Like it tested me in a different way. Like, I wasn't their teammate, so I had to find different ways to like communicate and get through to them or like, get my point across. It definitely helped that I still played because like if there was something I was trying to show them how to do it, like I could actually do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would practice with them. Coach Lombardi would be like, Romero, get your gloves, go out there. And I'm like,
okay.
Let me stretch real quick. But, I had a ton of fun. I think the biggest thing for me, the reason why I decided not to at that time was they redid my contract and it ended up being a multi-year contract. So they actually signed me for 3 more years. So I was like, I don't think I can balance the two.
No, there's no way.
That year I was like, if I was focusing more on coaching, I didn't focus on my softball
on your performance, on your play.
And if I focused on softball and playing, coaching took a hit. So I was like, I just don't think it's fair for me to do this because one of them is going to get less and I don't want that.
So now that you're still in your playing days, I know that, when it ends though, I mean, well, let's say that you never know. But is coaching something that you think you'll end up revisiting at some point?
I don't know. I feel like I get asked that a lot. I think everybody has a lifestyle that they want to live. And yes, I have a certain lifestyle that I would love to live.
Yeah.
I just don't know that coaching fits it. It doesn't mean I'm opposed to it because if it's the right university, if it's the right coaching staff and the right atmosphere, I think that I would be willing to be like, let's do this and I'll be all in and it'll be great. But I really think it has to be the right move because I mean, any coach will tell you this. It's 24/7.
Yeah, it is.
Home at 8
Coaching
o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. Your mind never turns off from softball. You're traveling. I want to have a family. I want to do all these things. I'm going to miss out on, maybe my kids growing up. Like there's so much more that goes into it.
Yeah.
And I enjoy weekends. I enjoy being able to go to the beach and have a beach day when I want to. going on a spontaneous trip to, my last one was a trip to Dallas to go
There you
out
go.
in the city and hang out with
Cool.
people. And like, so like I enjoy that freedom, which is why it would have to be like the right
It'd have to be
fit.
the perfect
The
thing
perfect
for it.
one.
Yeah. I feel
Yeah.
that. I think a lot of people, because that's something that I always ask, like, especially players or guys that are ending the end of their career. They're like, because their lives have been so involved in sports and in baseball, whether it be baseball or softball or whatever it is. Coaching is always, I think as an athlete, it's always something that's in the back of your mind. You may think about it. Like I might do this, I might not. But then there's some people who are just like, coaching is just like, I'm just like, no, I'm never doing it. Like once the game's done, it's done. So I just figured I'd ask. You never know. I saw you had it on your resume. You're like, I coached for a year. I was like, well, maybe she'll want to do it. I don't know. That's something that,
I feel
like
like
for
that's a good
me,
thing
it's,
to note because you learn a lot. Like
yeah.
you can really correlate it to the business
Mm-hmm.
side. Like me
Yeah.
working with sponsors, like it's definitely made me more business savvy. So like
Mm-hmm.
that's a big reason why I put it on there. But like as far as coaching goes, like Sydney, my sister,
Mm-hmm.
she's the hitting coach at Duke.
Mm-hmm.
She is a coach, like through and through.
Yeah.
Like when I look at her, when I watch her do these things, like did I enjoy every moment that I was on the field coaching? 100%.
Mm-hmm.
100% I loved it. But Sydney loves it in a different way.
Yeah.
Like the hesitations I have, I don't feel like she has. I'm sure she
Mm-hmm.
thinks about it.
Oh,
Everyone
yeah.
thinks about it. Like I wish I had a weekend off. I wish I had more time off.
Yeah.
Sydney,
Everybody
like
does.
she
Yeah.
might think that, but she doesn't care. Like I do
Mm-hmm.
care. Like I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy my freedom. Like
Yeah.
I just that's just me. But I also it sucks because I do love coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be awesome if I could figure that out. But we'll see because I also know I don't ever want to do something half-assed. So
Yeah, that's
I don't
yeah,
want
that'll
to
get
do
you.
it and be like, I don't know. That's not fair to the players. It's not fair to the
Yeah.
other coaching staff. So that's
Yeah.
why it has to be that like perfect fit for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think coaching is it's one of those things because as a player, it's like it comes and it's like, but you still get that off time because you're required to have an off season. Some don't have an actual off season, but most do. So you can still take those vacations and kind of like decompress from the game and then come back. But coaching is like it's 20. You're right. It's 24/7, 365, man. Like it doesn't stop because you're recruiting. You're looking at how ways to better your coaching staff, your coaching style. It just doesn't end. So I know exactly what you're talking about, which is also a reason why I stepped back from coaching because I've been asked, just in San Antonio, I just know a lot of people that have asked me to coach. Now I coach like middle school kids just because I'm like, I can give back to these kids at school that I went to. And it's a spring and I can cut it at the spring. I don't have to worry about summer ball. I don't have to worry about fall, hiring a coach for my fall kids and then coaching in the spring. It's just like, that's a whole, no, not for me. So I know exactly what you mean. So going into your sponsorships, I know you just recently signed a deal with Rawlings. You and I forgot the other one you signed.
Jocelyn Allo.
There it is. Oh, I knew it was ALO, one of those two. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. So how did that happen? I know. Have you been like kind of going into brands? What gloves and stuff have you been a Rawlings girl your whole life moving up, or was it kind of like in between? Or wow,
I grew up using. I did have a Rawlings glove when I was younger, but my travel ball team was sponsored by Wilson and DeMarini, and then Michigan was also sponsored by Wilson and DeMarini.
Yeah,
so. Right. I kind of just got to stick with that the whole time. And then Wilson DeMarini signed me after I graduated.
Okay.
So I was actually signed to them for about 6 years, I think it was.
Yeah.
It was great. I had I had my own glove, the SR32, came out with different models and stuff, like color styles. Oh, really?
We had it for a while. Yeah, we did.
That's awesome. And then, the business just business stuff didn't add up and I didn't feel like I was getting things that I deserved and that I had earned. And I decided to, bet on myself again. And I talked to my agent and I was like, let's see what else is out there because I'm not comfortable re-signing. And so we went and explored and, he pitched me to some companies and then Rawlings wanted to meet with me. And so we had a meeting with them, their staff, me and my agent. I talked to them about like my vision for softball and what I wanted to do. And, if they were going to sign me, like I didn't just want to be here's a check and have me walk away. Like I'm not interested in that type of partnership at this point in my career. I would much rather just not have a partnership than just pay for a glove. Like I would just rather do that than have to deal with everything else.
Right.
So they had the same vision. They told me that they were looking to sign another athlete as well. And at the time, I don't believe I knew it was Jossie, but once I found out, I was like, this is awesome. Like,
Yeah,
this
it'd be
is so
super cool. Yeah.
So same thing with Rawlings. Like, I got the bat, the glove, and, we have some fun stuff like in the works that will be coming out, I think, this year. So I just really want to be with companies that can like keep progressing forward and pushing forward.
Yeah.
And the second I feel like we're retracting and going back, like
Yeah,
I don't want to go back. So I just move. I will move away. I'll remove myself.
There you go. I mean, Rawlings, and the good thing about we do a lot of business with Rawlings. I mean, they're one of our top vendors. They're just I've always used Rawlings, so I'm like kind of partial to it. I'll be honest with you, but I think
I'm not gonna lie, the glove is amazing. Once I put it on, I was like,
they are.
Shoot, I didn't realize.
Yeah. So do you have your own model in that glove too now?
There will be one.
Okay. Well, there we go. We'll leave it at that then. We won't go further there. But I just like Rawlings is just the way that they run, the way that they operate, the way they conduct themselves as a company. Like the people that we've worked with, like they're top tier. Rawlings they're awesome guys. They always take care of their vendors. They take care of their athletes. As you know, I mean, Rawlings is as big as they are. They don't get as big as they are with being a shit company. I mean, you just know that. So I'm proud of you. That's awesome. Is that, I guess we can't really say anything else on it, comparing it to other people, but I'm sure that's
it's going to be the best fast pitch glove that's out there.
Oh, there you go. So you heard it.
I mean, it will be. It's for fast pitch players. It's made for you. It is comfortable. It's light. I mean, there's things about the glove. I was like, I don't want it to weigh more than this much. I want the fingers this way for the female hand. Like, I didn't want any Velcro because I just don't think that's
I don't like that either. Yeah, no.
Get rid of the Velcro. Let's do like more mature looking. Like the glove, like the colorway, I think is like simple and perfect. I wanted it to be very neutral to go with all people's teams. And then moving forward, I'd like to get a little more crazy with the color combos. But for the first one, I wanted it to just really be
a traditional,
that natural, good look.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of like a, spark on it just because I feel like I had to have a little flashiness,
a little flair to it.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's not totally boring.
No, not totally. There's going to be a little flash. So, I'm excited about that to come out. And then they've been great. So I'm excited to work with them. This will be the first full year working with them. And then, I have a couple other sponsors. Like I just signed with G-Form.
Awesome.
Protection gear. G-Form's awesome. So, they're diving into fast pitch now and there's some really cool guards coming out for fast pitch players.
Well, they have some pretty interesting designs already. I've seen some of their stuff. Their stuff's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
I feel like I've, gotten to really interact with a lot of different sponsors, different types of sponsors. But like, I've been with New Balance forever, and New Balance has been amazing.
Oh yeah,
they're awesome. I made a cleat and a turf with them, and then we have some more stuff coming out, and it's pretty cool.
Wait, so you have a cleat and a turf with New Balance? Is that out yet?
It was already out, and like they don't sell it now anymore.
Dang. Okay, that may have been before. I was like, if you have a cleat and a turf, and I don't know about this, I'm gonna have to make.
It was the Romero. It was called the Romero.
It might have been before I got
turf trainer and a cleat.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I bet and that's something that like a lot of people like, I mean, I tell people all the time, like to have like, how does it feel to know that like these companies that you grow up playing with, that you've used your whole life, like they have a model for you? How does that feel? I'm sure that feels, that's insane. You can't even fathom sometimes.
It doesn't even feel real sometimes. Like, I'm like, whoa, I had a, glove with so-and-so and getting a glove here. And then this shoe and cleat. I'm like,
it's insane.
These are things I dreamed about, but like I didn't know they would happen. And what's even cooler is, the New Balance thing I get to do with my sister this year. So,
that's awesome.
She's so signed with New Balance as well, and the things we have coming out are things that both her and I created. And
that is so cool.
So
that's so
became
awesome.
Like a whole family thing.
Awesome. So I have to ask. So have you and your sister ever like played? I know you said you played that 1 year for Team Mexico with her. Is her playing career over? Or is she just? I know you said she's a hitting coach at Duke now. She's still playing too. Okay.
She's still playing.
What team does she play for?
She's with Athletes Unlimited as well.
Oh, okay, cool. And give me a little bit more. Okay, so give me a little more background on that. So before, we've only got a little bit longer. So Athletes Unlimited, what exactly is that? Because you hear of USSSA Pride. I think there's a couple more teams I've heard of. I'm not super versed in pro softball, so can you give us a little bit more on what Athletes Unlimited is and how they kind of conduct themselves?
Yeah. So the biggest difference with AU is it's a point system.
Mm-hmm.
So think of like fantasy football and like all these things that you guys, get super invested in.
Mm-hmm.
So what's kind of cool about us is there's a draft every week. So you're never on the same team. You're constantly getting drafted to different teams. There's, different color teams. There's this last season, there was blue, gold, purple, and what else? I'm missing orange.
Okay.
And so you would get drafted to one of those teams, and then you have like 2 days to get comfortable with each other, figure out a lineup, figure out who's playing.
Yeah.
And there's this whole point system. So, you get a single, 10 points, double, 20, triple, 30,
That's
home
so
run,
cool.
40. But you also get points for winning every inning. If your team wins that inning by scoring more runs than the opposing team, you guys won, and now your whole team collectively gets points. So
wow.
I know in the past people are like, well, how does it not become like individual? Like, how does it not become like an individual selfish thing? And I'm like, well, it's because you get points. You get even more points for winning games and winning innings, things that involve everybody working together.
Yeah.
So that's how they balance it out. And our games are on ESPN, and we play out of
That's so
Chicago.
cool.
And they're really fun to watch, and they're really fun to play in.
Do you think so? I know you're saying about this whole point system. Do you think that brings like not only like more excitement from your point of, from like you guys playing? It's like, oh, y'all are going to go for like all the points, like, because that just makes it like that just sounds fun. Like I would want to do that. I don't even play anymore. Like, that just sounds.
Well, there's
fun.
different strategy. Like there is, like, because sometimes like if your team is just not doing well that day, you're like, you know what? Let's win the inning. Like, who cares if we even win this game? Let's get some points for the whole team by winning the inning. So there can be like a strategy behind it of like, you know what? Even if we lose this game, we're going to get all these points. Because there were teams I remember during season, they lost every inning, and then they won the game in the seventh inning.
They just put it all together in the last one. That's
they
crazy.
Figured it out. But then you walk away and both teams got a ton of points. So it's like you can't really even be mad sometimes when you lose because you're like, we won every inning.
There's
like,
a benefit. Yeah, there's something to take away.
So it's
crazy.
A different strategy. It's fun though, because especially when like it gets towards the end and there's like the top 10 or top 15, people are trying to jump because they want to win as like the best player, or they want to get top 3. So there's so much strategy, and people are like just doing crazy things because they're like, I want to win. I want to get top 3. I want us to win. So it was a lot of fun.
That's super awesome. I think that's a different twist on softball, but I think it brings more excitement to it. And like, obviously more people are going to be more invested in the different aspects of it. That's awesome. Honestly, I'd never heard of it. I knew that there were different leagues, but I didn't know that that's how it went down. That's so cool. That's
you guys you'll have to tell your followers to check out. They have their Instagram, Athletes
we'll
Unlimited.
Tag them. We'll tag them in here.
And they can go follow along. And they do all kinds of sports. But they only do female sports, which is something that's pretty cool. They got unique. Volleyball, basketball, lacrosse, softball, and I know that they're probably looking to add more sports in the future.
That's awesome. Well, that's good that it gives you guys an exclusivity point to it. I mean, it's just female only, gives more eyes to it, so there's no drawbacks, there's no takeaways. That's super awesome. That's super awesome. Cool. So
it's been really cool so far.
Yeah. So we're approaching the hour. I want to make sure that we don't keep you too long. I'm sure you got things you got going on, but so what else is going on with you? I know you mentioned your sister plays or coaches at Duke, and she also plays in Athletes Unlimited. Your brother, who I'm going to have to reach out and see if we can get him on here at some point, because he just got drafted in the first round by the Red Sox, right? The Red Sox, was it? Yeah. So you've got a pretty elite stud family. I mean, y'all
you're even missing one sister. I have the youngest one, Sophia. She's a senior. She's committed to Boise State for softball.
Oh wow, it just runs in your blood at this point. Y'all just breed athletes down there in California. How before we get into the end of it, has there been, like, I guess as a family unit, right? As you guys come together, is there a massive competitive energy when y'all get together as all of you guys?
Yes, I mean there's a video that Perfect Game did on my brother's draft day. Yeah. And even in that video, like, my brother's talking about how he's the best athlete, and me and like the other girls are like just looking at him.
Are you sure though?
Really? Sure? You might make the most money. That doesn't mean you're the best athlete.
That's very true.
We're like, so we were just kind of like saying, going back and forth. I mean, Sydney and I were only 3 years apart. So we would race who could get to the car first. It was just a competition.
That's awesome.
We always are. I mean, it's like a healthy competition. It's a very good amount of smack talk. Always.
Yeah.
But it's fun. And,
Yeah.
I definitely think that our parents will like sometimes egg it on. Like they'll be like, "Ooh, what are you going to say to that? What do you got to
Yeah.
that?" So
That's so awesome though. That's so cool. But I mean, having a family of athletes like that, I'm sure is an intense situation, but I'm sure it's awesome. It's fun. That's crazy. But so as we get to the end here, the floor is yours. Anything you want to say about what you have going on? What you've got coming up. I know you had kind of hinted at a few things you're doing with Rawlings. I know they just released that new. Did you have anything to say with that new Mantra Plus they just released? That thing looks awesome. I saw it for the first time this
I
past weekend.
it looks awesome, and it seems like it's really. I haven't gotten to swing it yet. It's in the
Ooh,
mail. It's
there you
coming to
go.
me now,
Cool,
so
cool.
I will be doing, like a video and all that stuff
Yeah,
once I
yeah.
have it, just to give like a little review on it, of
Hmm.
course. But it
Yeah.
should be in the mail coming to me now,
Awesome.
because I start my training actually next week. So I
Okay.
will
Okay.
be,
Cool, cool.
much more active on social media and
Hmm.
sharing my workouts, me hitting,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
sponsorship stuff. I like, during the off season, I can kind of take a step back and not have to
Yeah.
do all that
Hmm.
24/7. But I'll be picking up with some of that, just to share those things for sponsors and all the new stuff they have coming out. But, I'm really excited about my new G-Form sponsorship coming out with fast pitch stuff, getting it more into fast pitch players' hands,
Yeah.
just because I know it's big in baseball.
Hmm.
And I really like their guards,
Yeah.
super comfortable and, very protective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else. Like I'm excited about Rawlings and season. I think the biggest thing is, I also work with Players Collective,
Hmm.
which is
Oh, cool.
a
Yeah,
sports
yeah.
agency
Uh-huh.
for
Yeah.
female athletes.
Hmm.
So it's funny, I'm playing and I'm also some of these pro
You're
softball
advising.
players
Yeah.
agent as well.
Yeah.
So,
That's so cool.
yeah.
But you have so much to offer them because you've seen the game for not only for the last, 10 years, you've seen how the game evolves and how it's played. So you have so much to offer these people coming up. I think that that's super important that you're giving back to the athletes that are also on the come up that may need help that maybe you didn't get when you were coming up. So I think that that's actually really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. I just feel like if anyone's going to be able to push and ask for more money, like I think that I'm more than capable of doing that. I don't care about
Yeah.
being the bad guy. Like I'll
Yeah.
ask, especially if I think that it's something that they deserve, and
Hmm.
I'll also give them my opinion if I think that it's a bad deal, and then I'll let
Yeah.
them decide if they want that money or if they want to try to go get more somewhere else. Because I think
Absolutely.
that investing in companies that invest in you is really important, and that's how you build those really good relationships. And again, it's not just here's a check and walk away, because
Hmm.
that doesn't help softball. It doesn't do
Yeah, it
anything for
doesn't. Yeah, no.
softball. It might put some money in your pocket and that's great, but you're doing softball right now a disservice if you're just taking a check and walking away.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that that's a perfect way to end it. I think it's a perfect segue to the end. Perfect. Just giving back to the game itself and trying to make softball grow, because I'm a huge advocate for it as well. Like I try to push as many people as we can. We're trying to grow obviously our softball side here. We have softball.com, and we do a lot of work with obviously Rawlings, and we're trying to get more people like you, like your sister, like Monica Abbott. We're trying to get as many people in here to give as much information they can about softball to just grow the sport, because it is an extremely fun sport to watch. It's entertaining. It's fast paced. It's not like baseball where it's like super, sometimes it can be so drawn out and slow. Like y'all are so fast. Everything's so compact and close that y'all are, making all kinds of crazy plays. I love watching softball. It's so, there's times where I'd rather watch softball than watch a college baseball game, to be honest with you. Like it's just much more entertaining and fun to watch. But thank you so much, Sierra, for coming on. We really appreciate it. You're doing great things. You've done amazing things, and I'm sure that there's much more. I know you said your playing career is kind of going towards the end, but I think that there's a lot more left in the tank for you, to be honest with you. But yeah, thank you so much. This episode will actually be available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, anywhere you can find or listen to podcasts. Yeah, so it'll be out, and just letting you know as well, you don't have to hang up right away. I'll give you some pointers at the end, but this one will be out, I think, towards the end of February, because we've got some episodes lined up. So this will be out here in a bit, but thank you everybody for watching, and we will be sure to catch you in the next one.